Hello, new friends and old friends, and welcome to the Maincast Podcast. Coming to you recorded from Memphis, Tennessee, the greatest city in the world. I am your podcaster extraordinaire, Professor Christopher, and again, I'm so happy that you decided to hit play on this. Again, we are wanting more for 24. We got a video podcast episode, whatchamacallit, coming up soon. You know, I want to do at least one a month. My Wrapped for last year wasn't necessarily as nice as I wanted it to be as far as video casting was concerned. So we're going to make sure that we make an effort to put a face, a handsome face behind this podcast here. You know, you hear my voice, you see my work, but you're not seeing the work, you know. So we want to make sure that we are being inclusive, both audio-wise and video-wise, for this here podcast. And if you're new, you know, welcome. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're giving me a chance. You know, stick around, listen to the episode. If you like it, please make sure that you subscribe to the podcast on whatever avenue that you're listening to. You know, make sure you give me a rating. You know, constructive criticism is not a bad thing. You know, if I don't know I suck, then, you know, there's nothing for me to work on. You know, I'm constantly looking for things to work on for this podcast here, and I don't know unless you tell me. And this goes for the old folks too. You know, let me know something. You got tenure here at this point, so open your mouth, say something. Otherwise, we're just gonna continue on like we've been continuing on. But regardless, thank you for loving my podcast. You don't love it more than me, but you love it, and I appreciate it. You know, time is a thing that you can't get back. You know, so I want to make sure that I am maximizing your time and listens. This is your podcast too. And with that being said, let's take a quick little break here, and we'll get back to it with the topic at hand. Now, if you know me, you know that I'm a person who, I'm not going to say that I'm a social butterfly by any means, but I do have a high capacity for being able to get along with most people, and being able to identify, hey, I don't think we're gonna be anything beyond people who say hi and bye to each other. You know, it's a skill that you work on over and over and over and over and over again, right? But there's special interactions, you know, that happen, you know, just between a guy and a gal, and, you know, things happen. But, you know, one of the things that people enjoy saying is that men and women cannot be friends because there's always some feelings that are thrown into there, blah, 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 whatever, right? And then this, of course, discourages people from pursuing others, because in some people's mind, they're like, hey, if I pursue this person, they're going to think that I want to go into a deep dive relationship with them, blah, 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 whatever, right? And I don't necessarily believe that I subscribe to that line of thinking. And here's why. I believe that all great relationships, you know, like relationships where two people gather together, you know, whatever preference that you may have, but you gather together and you have a solid base of friendship, and then you mutually decide that you either want to pump up the volume and the intensity and try something else, or you just remain friends, right? And it's difficult to do that with women, or again whoever else it is that you're trying to date. For the reference of this podcast, of course, I'm going to stick with what I know, right? So I date women. So let's just throw that out there. Women is my genre. However, you can flip this to relate to yourself, because here is the Main Cast Podcast. We like to be inclusive to all. To all. So, with what I know, right? Building a friendship with a woman is relatively easy, right? I think the expectation is when you meet a woman that you're supposed to announce your intentions from the jump, but those intentions oftentimes are unknown. And because of the manipulative properties of men that they may have run into in the past, they may think that you're trying to do the same thing. And I think I found the solution to help, right? Because again, relationships are built on the sturdy foundation of friendship, right? And the lady that you're dating, you're supposed to be able to be what with? Friends. So, if you have the conversation where a woman is like, well, what do you want with me? State your intentions, sir. And you should be like, well, hey, I understand. Well, you have to say it exactly like I do, but say it how you would say it. But in a formal kind of way, so it's easy to understand. You'd be like, hey, I thought, now I do think that you're pretty, and I do think that you are attractive. However, I do like your personality as well. I feel like I would like to pursue a friendship with you. And if it leads to something more, then it does. And if it don't, it don't. And then you go from there, right? Because the thing is that people are demanding honesty from the jump, right? So if I was wanting to try to get my foot in the door to gauge, what we can possibly do, I feel like that would be something that I could say. Of course, there are some fellas who will be like, well, hey, I'm going to just be honest with you. I want to bend you over the armoire over here, or I want to bend you over my twin XL mattress and make some fireworks happen, and then we can see where we go after that. Or there may be people who jump immediately into, hey, I like you and I want you and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to ensure that you're going to be mine. whatever it is that you do, right? But I just feel like regardless of of like the first and the third thing that I mentioned, like you still have to have that solid foundation for friendship. Like with the third statement that I made, you're immediately putting yourself in a zone where it's like you're putting yourself against the wall. Like you're stating a very, very deep intention, and you're gonna skip steps to get to that final goal that you stated, because you don't want to make yourself look like a liar or whatever it is that you may do. I don't know, but I feel like saying, hey, you acknowledge that she's pretty, you acknowledge the things that you like, and you tell her, hey, I would like to pursue a friendship with you. I want to see what you got going on. And, if we feel like it's a good idea, maybe we ramp up the intensity. If not, no hard feelings. We can, if we work it out, we'll always be friends. We'll be cool with each other to a certain extent, however far it goes. But I feel like what I stated may be arrogant, or no, I'm not gonna say it's arrogance. I'm gonna say it's extreme confidence that kind of thing works. Because I'm letting you know from the jump. Yeah, I noticed all them things, but I'm telling you what I want. And I'm telling you that there could be the opportunity for us to do more. So now it opens the door where you are able to explore. You can take your time and explore. Like if you say, hey, I like you and I want you and all that, and it immediately puts you in an uncomfortable place, because now you're doing things that may or may not be in your character trait dictionary. You're going to be reaching. You're going to be putting yourself in vulnerable positions that you wouldn't necessarily have yourself in, right? But if you say, hey, let's build this thing up from the ground up, I feel like that gives you more time to learn, to make mistakes, to get past those mistakes, and to learn how to navigate your friendship with said woman. Now, is that going to be 100% effective with all women? Absolutely not. Is it a possibility that you might scare the hoes with that? Absolutely. But when you stepping out on faith like that, and you're trying to maintain the air of being a decent fellow, I have come to learn that stating it in the easiest way possible to allow for a human to be a human and to grow and to evolve and to have an understanding, maybe that works. Maybe it should work. You don't have to have no lines. You ain't got to have no game. You ain't got to have nothing but honesty and be like, hey, I want to learn more about you. I would like for us to establish a rapport and, build this thing into a friendship, and see where we go. Because again, you put yourself in that wall, you put yourself in that high stress pressure cooker situation where you like, I like you and I want you. Now, you don't give yourself much place to learn, because you just told this woman that you ready and you ready now. You don't care what she's offering. You don't care how she talk. You don't care about nothing. The only thing that you know is you want to make that deep dive immediately. And that ain't the way to go. That ain't the way to go at all. But what do y'all think about that strategy? Do you think I'm full of shit? Do you think that it sounds good in practice, but difficult to in execution? I mean, just try it. I mean, there is a great chance that you've done what I said, but you just didn't really recognize what you were doing. Right? You know, because you don't want to lead the ladies on. You don't. There's something that you don't want to do. Because if you leave your intentions to interpretation, you're going to basically find out that, you know, the expectations may not be lining up because you left it out in the open for her to be like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to make my own decision because he hasn't said anything. You know, so I feel like, again, doing what they're asking and stating your intent up front, it's the best way to go. You know, there are often times where people ask for things that they can't handle. So, if a person can handle it, kudos to them. If they can't handle that kind of thing, kudos to them as well. You know, maybe in time, sorry about that. Maybe in time they'll learn and it'll be something that they can look back on and say, hey, you know, I like when this guy said that, but I didn't necessarily like him. But if another dude said that to me in such a manner, I might go with it. You know? So, yeah. If you're listening, of course, and there is somebody that you just want to get your foot in the door, try it. Try the method that the professor just hipped you to. Report back to me and let me know if it works. I believe that it will. And it's basically sexuality proof, I believe, again, you know, because we try to be all inclusive here at the I almost told you where I worked at. I'm sorry. Here on the Main Cast podcast. That was going to be a trip. But yeah, try it out. Let me know. You know, let me know. Hey, if you listen on Spotify, they got a spot for a Q&A, you know, and the question is going to be revolving around, you know, this strategy. So, you know, leave a comment on that. Find me on Twitter. Stop me on the street. Do whatever you need to do. But just let me know if it works. Here at the Main Cast, we like to have fun, but we realize that sometimes life is hard. It can be overwhelming and at times very isolating. You may feel like there's no one in your corner and that you're on a sinking ship. You feel like you need to vent and just be heard, but you don't want to burden your friends and family. Please don't let those feelings fester and lead you to somewhere where you may not return. Get on your phone and dial 988 to speak to someone that is waiting and willing to listen. And for those of you who are in the military and or are a military veteran, you can also dial 988, but then press 1 and it'll take you directly to the Military and Veterans Crisis Line. Please pass this to a friend who may be in need, and thank you for listening to the Main Cast podcast.